I gripped the black ribbon from Noah's uniform. I let out a soft sound in the dark. The door creaked open, catching me in the act. I thought he would be disgusted with me, but Noah knelt by the bed. He gently wiped my thigh with his hand. He said I did not need his ribbon. I could just ask him for help next time. I was Julian Hayes, the sickly heir of Havenwood. My body was a fragile cage from birth. I was 20, yet my mother still sought a wife for me. Her anxiety was a constant pressure. She showed me photos of suitable young women. The sight of them gave me a splitting headache. What girl would marry a man destined to die young? Besides, my interests were not in women. My best friend, Leo, helped me realize this. He was a notorious playboy. He collected the finest vintage erotic art in the state. He once showed me his prized collection. He grinned, asking me what I thought. I glanced at it and tossed it back. Leo complained that I had no taste. He then suggested I might have a hidden medical problem. At the time, I thought I was simply above such things. That changed when Noah arrived. The first night I saw him, my dreams were feverish. I awoke to damp sheets. A strange scent filled the room. I pressed my fingers to my temples. I was ruined. Look at him. Noah was impossibly handsome. He looked like a fallen angel. Women on the street would blush and stare. I sighed to myself. Noah came to Havenwood a year ago. He became my personal security detail. He had a noble bearing and a tall frame. His eyes were particularly captivating. A man that striking quickly became famous in our small town. Women flocked to him constantly. My poor health kept me indoors most days. This meant Noah was always with me at the estate. I secretly preferred it this way. People often whispered about me. They called me the Hayes family's walking ghost. They said my face promised a short life. I heard one woman say my mother had tried 10 matchmakers. Not a single family was interested. Who wanted their daughter to be a young widow? Harsh words were a familiar background noise. I had grown accustomed to the pity and scorn. As I tried to walk away, I noticed Noah was gone. He stood before the gossiping women. He asked for an apology. The women were stunned by his sudden appearance. Noah's voice was low and firm. He stated their words were cruel and offensive. He insisted they apologize to me. His voice carried across the bustling town square. I stood frozen in place. Noah was defending me. The women grew annoyed. They mumbled a few excuses and quickly dispersed. We reached the gazebo by the lake. I was still processing what had happened. Noah called my name and I looked up. He was so tall I only reached his shoulder. I could smell the clean, crisp scent on his clothes. He looked down at me with dark, concerned eyes. My somber expression must have worried him. He seemed nervous for a moment. He raised a hand, then let it fall. He then offered a small, reassuring smile. He promised me I would get better someday. His voice was soft but full of conviction. Something inside my chest burst. We held each other's gaze. A bright voice broke the quiet moment. A tall girl in a blue dress approached us. She introduced herself as Chloe, Leo's cousin. She had just moved to town from out west. I remembered Leo mentioning her. I greeted her politely. Chloe asked if I was there to meet her cousin. Her eyes kept darting to Noah behind me. She admitted she had asked Leo to arrange this meeting. I realized Leo had tricked me. He said he wanted to meet, but it was a setup. A bad feeling settled in my stomach. I asked Chloe what she wanted. She looked past me at Noah. Her eyes were shining with adoration. She confessed she was in love with him. My world stopped for a second. I never expected such directness. Noah's expression remained unchanged. He politely told her he was flattered, but he said his heart already belonged to someone. Chloe and I both reacted with surprise. The usually gentle Julian Hayes had become sullen. His already pale face seemed even more fragile. It was as if he might break at any moment. A dark mood settled over his wing of the house. I sat on the chaise lounge. I reread Leo's letter of apology. I sighed again and again. I suddenly saw Noah walking hastily across the courtyard. I got up and followed him. He left the estate and went to the Daily Grind downtown. Someone called my name from above. It was Leo. He was leaning out a second-story window. He waved for me to come up. I went inside without a second thought. Leo's table had a perfect view of Noah. He was sitting alone at a booth. He seemed to be waiting for someone. Leo asked if I was still angry with him. I told him I wasn't that petty. Leo explained that Chloe was persistent. He felt he had no other choice. He then added that she liked Noah, not me. He didn't see how it was a big deal. I wanted to roll my eyes. I almost wished she had liked me instead. I decided to test him. I asked Leo what he would do if a man liked him. He paused, then felt my forehead for a fever. I pushed his hand away. He thought for a moment. He said he would probably knock the guy out. Then he would go on a long hiking trip alone. Just then, someone joined Noah's table. A woman in a striking red dress sat opposite him. She was beautiful and confident. Noah was smiling warmly at her. They talked and drank coffee like old friends. A sour feeling rose in my chest. This must be the woman Noah loved. I could never compete with someone like her. My hand trembled, spilling my coffee. Leo asked what I was staring at. He took the cup from my hand. He followed my gaze. He commented on the woman's beauty. Then he recognized Noah. He wondered how my guard knew such a woman. Before I could speak, Leo was pulling me downstairs. Suddenly, I was standing in front of Noah's table. He looked up, surprised and flustered. I stammered that I was meeting Leo for coffee. Leo looked confused. He pointed out that he had called me from the window. I discreetly tugged his sleeve. I told him through clenched teeth to be quiet. The woman in red stood up. She looked me over with a knowing smile. She asked if I was his little master. She knew about me? I glanced at Noah. He looked down, saying nothing. I asked the woman if we had met. She smiled. She said her friend had mentioned me before. Her name was Maya. I was stunned by her voice. Leo then tried to introduce himself. He presented himself as my best friend. The beautiful woman cut him off. She simply said hello. She did not know him. He was momentarily speechless. Maya did not stay long. She made an excuse and left. After she was gone, Leo started lecturing Noah. He said Noah shouldn't discuss me with strangers. Noah looked at me anxiously. He tried to explain he hadn't spoken carelessly. I told Leo it was fine. Then I said I was heading back. In truth, I was fleeing the scene. I was embarrassed about being caught, and I had brought my loudmouth friend with me. As I walked away, I could hear Leo complaining. He was upset Noah hadn't mentioned him to Maya. On the way home, my mind replayed the scene. Noah and Maya looked perfect together. I stood no chance against such a vibrant woman. I walked slowly, lost in my own gloomy thoughts. Then I saw someone I did not want to see. I lowered my eyes and turned to leave. A hand grabbed my wrist. It was Noah. My body went rigid at his touch. I tried to act calm and asked what was wrong. He asked if I was angry with him. His voice was filled with anxiety. I did not know how to respond. All I could hear was the wind and my own loud heartbeat. He began to explain about Maya. He said she was his. Before he could finish, Chloe's voice interrupted. She asked if she could speak with Noah alone. I nodded stiffly and pulled my hand away. I walked a few steps. Then I hid behind a large stone sculpture. I held my breath to listen. Chloe asked Noah a direct question. Were he and his beloved mutually in love? Her question made me nervous too. Noah hesitated before answering. He said no. His answer was unexpected. Chloe then asked if he had not confessed his feelings. Noah's voice sounded bitter. He admitted he had not. Chloe spoke of her upbringing. She was taught to fight for what she wanted. Since Noah's love was unrequited, she saw no harm. She said she would continue to pursue him. She was a very brave girl. I could never say such things. I wondered if Noah would be moved by her spirit. After a moment, Noah spoke. He appreciated her feelings, but he was devoted to one person. It did not matter if his love was returned. He would not change his mind. He asked her not to waste her time. He was right. Some things are unattainable no matter how hard you try. My own feelings were an example of this. Before she left, Chloe asked one last question. She asked why Noah didn't confess his love. He said it would only cause the other person trouble. Yes, the feelings of someone you don't love are a burden. But Noah and Maya seemed so comfortable together. She obviously did not dislike him. So why hadn't he told her? I sighed. A man's heart was just as confusing. My mother found me hiding. She asked what I was doing. She pulled me out from behind the sculpture. I shook my head and said I was going to my room. She stopped me, her voice excited. She heard from the butler that a young lady visited me. She fired off a series of questions about her. I told her it was not what she thought. She pointed a finger at me, exasperated. She lamented that I had no female friends. She worried about the family line ending with me. I clutched my chest. I started breathing heavily. I told her my chest hurt again. I said I needed to lie down. She waved me away dismissively. She complained I always got sick when this topic came up. I practically ran back to my room. I lay in bed all night, unable to sleep. I could not be brave like Chloe. Noah was right. Confessing would only burden him. I did not want his pity. I tried to stop thinking about him. But the more I tried, the more he filled my thoughts. The memory of his touch shattered my resolve. I thought of his clean scent and his dark eyes. A restless heat grew inside me. I got up. I took a black ribbon from under my pillow. It was a piece of his uniform. He had dropped it the first time we met. I held it tightly. The crisp scent filled my nose. Felt like he was holding me. I loved the way he looked at me. I loved the way he called my name. I loved Noah. I let out a soft sound in the dark. A wetness spread on my thigh. The door creaked open. Moonlight flooded the room. It cast a cold glow on the person standing there. Noah's face slowly came into focus. Panic seized me. My cheeks burned with shame. His gaze lowered. His dark eyes were unreadable. He walked slowly toward me. He picked up the soiled ribbon. My body was frozen. I was exposed. A single thought screamed in my mind. Noah saw everything. I was finished. He would hate me now. But the next moment, Noah knelt by my bed. He reached out. His hand gently wiped my thigh. His voice was low and raspy. He said I did not need his ribbon next time. I could just come directly to him. He would help me. His cool fingers brushed against my skin. I felt like I was falling into ice and fire. He asked if I wanted to continue. He looked up at me. His dark eyes were misty. I stared at him for a long time. Then I slapped him across the face. I thought he was a demon sent to tempt my soul. The handsome demon winced. A red mark appeared on his pale cheek. The sight brought me back to my senses. I hastily arranged my clothes. My voice trembled. I told him to go. Noah lowered his gaze. He looked like a lost puppy I once rescued. He told me to rest. He reminded me not to worry my mother. Then he closed the door. The moonlight was gone. The room was dark and silent. After some thought, I got up and left my room. I had to clear things up with Noah. His room was near the bamboo grove. His window was partially open. I could see inside. As I got closer, something on his desk caught my eye. A drawing was lying there. It was a portrait of a young man. The man had a gentle smile and kind eyes. He held a silver needle and a small scented pouch. The man in the drawing was me. It was from the night we first met. The moon was just as bright. I was embroidering a pouch in the courtyard. A maid announced the new guard had arrived. My father was cheap. Most guards quit within a few months. I didn't pay it much mind. Then I heard soft footsteps. I looked up. A tall young man stood there. He was handsome, especially his eyes. He smiled when he looked at me. My heart skipped a beat. The needle pricked my finger. A drop of blood stained the silk. The young man knelt before me. He softly said his name was Noah. From that night on, I could not look away from him. Next to the drawing was a line of elegant script. I leaned closer to read it aloud. May I follow the moonlight that shines on you. A soft sound came from behind me. I turned around. I met Noah's startled eyes. He quickly moved to stand in front of the window. The red mark from my slap was still visible. He told me the night was cold. He offered to walk me back. I stared at him. I did not move. Instead, I asked if he would invite me in. It was strange being in his room under these circumstances. The portrait was still on the desk. Felt like it was waiting for someone. I asked him about the line of poetry. I asked if he knew its meaning. Noah's hand paused as he poured tea. He said nothing, but I felt I already knew the answer. I stepped closer. I asked what he told Maya about me. Did he use that same line of poetry? The poem spoke of love and longing. It was on a portrait of me. I told him he was very bold. Noah stood with his back to me. He was completely still. I felt a nervous tension in the air. After a long moment, he turned. He knelt before me. He confessed that he loved me. He admitted he had overstepped his bounds. He told me to hit him again. The red mark on his cheek glowed in the lamplight. I laughed. I told him I wasn't a monster. I had only hit him because he scared me. He looked up. He asked if I was not angry. I shook my head and sighed. I called him a handsome fool. He just stared, completely stunned. I cleared a space on his desk. I wrote down a few words on a clean sheet of paper. My heart aches that you do not know. The moonlight filled the courtyard. As I left, I turned back. I waved to him. See you tomorrow, Noah. For the next few days, Leo only talked about two things. He was obsessed with the beautiful Maya, and he was certain I had finally fallen in love. He kept pestering me about who it was. I just smiled and said nothing. If I told him the truth, he would probably have a heart attack. Noah explained about Maya. They had trained together under the same mentor. She was like a sister to him. I didn't ask for more details. I knew Leo's reputation. I did not want to cause any trouble for the poor woman. One day, Noah and I were returning from my shop. We ran into a familiar face. It was Chloe. She was standing by a fortune teller's booth. She greeted us warmly. She insisted the fortune teller read our futures, specifically our love lives. Before I could object, she had pulled us over. She whispered that this man was incredibly accurate. The fortune teller looked me over with a frown. He handed me a bamboo tube full of sticks. Chloe urged me to pick one for my love life. I glanced at Noah. He was looking at me too. He smiled and shook a stick out of the tube. I did the same. The fortune teller looked at us strangely. He said we were fated partners. One was far away, yet right before our eyes. Noah and I exchanged a smile. Chloe wondered if it meant her and Noah, or her and me. The fortune teller said it was a cosmic secret. He turned over our sticks and his brow furrowed. He said our connection was not a blessed one. One was sickly, the other fated for violence. Our destinies were intertwined. A single misstep could lead to ruin for both. I asked if there was a way to fix it. He just smiled sadly. He could only read fates, not change them. On the way back, I was silent. Noah gently squeezed my hand. He told me not to believe in such things. I forced a smile. That night, a man's voice sighed somewhere in the quiet street. He whispered about foolish children. Noah left the next morning. He had asked my mother for a leave of absence. He left without a single word to me. I went to the coffee shop and found Maya. I asked her about Noah. She just looked at me with a complex expression. She shook her head. I heard nothing more from him after that. The autumn wind turned the leaves yellow. When the last leaf had changed color, Noah returned. He did not come to see me. The butler told me he was back. I went to his room. He was burning something. It was my portrait. The words "May I follow the moonlight" turned to smoke. He noticed me and turned around. He looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. He seemed distant. He knelt before me as he had on our first day. He did not offer an explanation. He simply said he was getting married. A tickle rose in my throat. I coughed, hiding the blood on my hand. Normally, Noah would rush to help me. Now, he just knelt there silently. I gave a hollow laugh. I told him that was good. He said he would be leaving at the end of the month. I told him not to wait. He could collect his pay and leave today. After a long silence, I turned and left. It was better this way. I did not have much time left anyway. My health had briefly improved over the last 2 years. But it was a false spring. The coughing fits and blood had returned. They were worse than ever. My parents were away at the ancestral home. It was for the best. I secretly saw a doctor. The diagnosis was grim. My life force was depleted. Nothing could be done. I had expected it. I ran into the fortune teller again. He said my star was falling. He doubted I would survive the winter. I sat up all night. I had so many wishes, but none of them seemed possible now. All I could do was live out my remaining days. Noah never reappeared. His room was empty. I did not know if his marriage was real. I did not want to know. He was a desert eagle. I was a caged bird. He deserved to fly free. Forgetting each other was the kindest thing we could do. The weather grew colder. I used to feel Noah's presence behind me. Now there was only empty space. But sometimes I felt like he was still there. I would see a dark figure in the corner of my eye. It would vanish when I looked directly. It was probably just a hallucination. I spent most of my time at my small art shop. I would sketch for hours. My father disapproved of my artistic pursuits. Leo had loaned me the money to open the shop. My parents wouldn't be back until the new year, so I could do as I pleased. One day, a group of rich bullies came into my shop. They mocked me for sketching. They said my hands were delicate, like a girl's. I ignored them. Arguing was what they wanted. One of them said my face was pretty enough to be a woman's. Before he could finish, several small stones flew through the air. They struck him in the mouth, drawing blood. The others were hit too. A clear, strong voice rang out. It was Chloe. She was dressed in riding gear, holding a long spear. The bullies called her a shrew. They said no man would ever want her. She pointed her spear at them. The men clutched their faces and ran. Chloe told me not to mind their words. She said my art was beautiful. She said it was better than the best artists in the city. I thanked her for her help. I asked her what brought her here. She said Noah was really gone. I nodded. She sighed and said she was over it. Then she told me to check on Leo. He was lovesick over Maya. I promised I would visit him after I closed the shop. I noticed the stones on the floor. I asked Chloe if she could teach me to throw them so accurately. She looked at me, confused. She asked what stones I was talking about. I was puzzled. By the time I looked up, she was gone. Leo was not at home. His butler said he went to an old chapel outside of town. The sky was still light, so I decided to find him. But it started to rain. I took shelter under the eaves of a farmhouse. A little boy suddenly appeared. He handed me an umbrella. He said it was for me. Before I could thank him, he ran off into the rain. I waited, but no one else came. So I took the umbrella and left. The path was muddy. As I passed a rocky area, I heard loud shouts. A dozen rough-looking men with knives surrounded me. I nearly fell in the mud. My legs trembled. The South had a bad drought. Many desperate people had become bandits. Chloe's father was leading the town guard against them. She had gone with him. I was unlucky to run into them. My hand holding the umbrella shook violently. I tried to think of a way to escape. Suddenly, the men cried out in pain. Their weapons clattered to the ground. A hand grabbed my wrist. I was pulled into a strong embrace. It was Noah. He stood in front of me like a shield. He told me not to be afraid. He was here. The men attacked again. Noah was skilled, but I was holding him back. He found an opening and pushed them back. Then he pulled me into the maze of rocks. We lost them. The rain grew heavier. We found shelter in an old, abandoned barn. Noah knelt down and wrung the water from my clothes. He looked up at me. His eyes were red. He told me I was safe now. He was much thinner than I remembered. A cold wind blew through the barn. I shivered. Noah took off his damp jacket. He wrapped his warm inner shirt around me. A thought suddenly struck me. The stones. The little boy. The umbrella. It was all you, wasn't it? I asked why he lied about getting married. Why did he stay here? After a long silence, he spoke. His voice was heavy. He said his fate was violent. Staying near me would bring me bad luck. But he could not leave me. He had sworn to protect me for life. He could not break his promise. Protect me for life? My heart fluttered. On impulse, I leaned in and kissed him. Noah froze for a second. Then he kissed me back fiercely. He held my head, deepening the kiss. A loud noise came from outside. It was Leo calling my name. I broke the kiss, a wave of dizziness hitting me. I started coughing uncontrollably. Leo burst in with a torch. He was relieved to see me unhurt. Then he noticed my lips. They were red and swollen. He asked what happened. I lied and said I ate spicy peppers. He seemed skeptical. Then he saw Noah. He asked why Noah's lips were swollen too. I quickly dragged Leo out of the barn. I saw Noah's face flush as we left. The city gates were closed. Leo took us to his family's country house. He was glad I was safe. He kept looking between me and Noah. He asked if we had been fighting. I didn't answer. He told me not to be mad at Noah. He needed Noah to find Maya for him. I just went to my room. Noah brought me dry clothes and a bowl of ginger soup. I smelled blood. I noticed a tear in the fabric on his shoulder. I touched it. My fingers came away wet with blood. He flinched. I asked if it hurt. He shook his head. He said he was fine. I asked Noah if he believed in fate. He asked if I did. I laughed. I told him I didn't care about good or bad omens. Doctors said I wouldn't live past 10. But here I was over 20. Every extra day was a victory. I didn't want to hide anymore. I wanted him to stay with me, even if it was only for a few months. I told him I wouldn't live long. I wouldn't hold him back for long. He suddenly pulled me into a tight, warm hug. He kissed my forehead. His eyes shone in the dim light. He promised he would never leave again. He said Maya had a way to cure me. He had been afraid to show himself. He thought I was angry with him. He promised I would get better. I hugged him back tightly. We kissed again, a desperate, fiery kiss. A loud crash made me jump. Leo was standing in the doorway. He looked stunned. A basin of hot water had slipped from his hands. He stared for a moment, then fled. I chased after him. Noah offered to explain, but I told him I would handle it. I found Leo in another room. He was pacing by the window. He finally turned to me. He realized what my question in the coffee shop really meant. I asked if he was going to hit me. He raised his fist, stopped right in front of my face. He asked why I didn't tell him sooner. I admitted I was afraid of his reaction. I thought I would lose his friendship. He was angry. He said a true friend would never abandon me for this. I had misjudged him. He lowered his fist. I smiled and said it wasn't too late. He told me to wait. He threw a small box at me. He told me to open it in my room. His ears were red. Noah was waiting anxiously for me. He draped his coat over my shoulders. I opened the box in my room. It was a beautifully illustrated book. As Noah approached, I slammed it shut. I hid it under the covers. The drawings were all of men. It was Leo's strange way of showing his support. I decided to tell my parents. As expected, my father was furious. He yelled about family duty and heirs. He said I was a disgrace. He had tolerated my art. But this was too much. He accused me of trying to end the family line. I knelt on the floor calmly. I told him I was sorry, but I would not marry a woman. I loved a man. He slapped me hard. My head rang. Noah moved in front of me, shielding me. He told my father to hit him instead. My mother tried to pull my father back. She urged me to apologize. I looked up. I said I would not marry. I would live my own life. My father kicked out in a rage. Noah took the blows. My father clutched his foot in pain. He screamed at me to get out. He told me never to come back. My mother led him away. She always pushed me to marry. But now her eyes were full of pain for me. She asked why I hadn't told her sooner. She knew I had been suffering alone. Her words brought tears to my eyes. She wiped the blood from my lip. She said my father was just angry. She told me to stay at the shop for a while. She would talk to him. I shook my head and thanked her. Noah knelt and bowed his head to my mother. He swore to protect me for the rest of his life. My mother sighed and held both our hands. My love was not accepted by the world. But my best friend and my mother stood by me. That was enough. On New Year's Eve, the bandit problem was resolved. A heavy snow fell on Havenwood. The displaced people had nowhere to go. Leo and I set up shelters near his country house. My mother came to visit. She gave me several heavy pouches of money. She said my father sent them but was too proud to admit it. I chuckled, which led to a coughing fit. After she left, I walked back through the snow. On the other side of the street, a tall man stood. He saw me and his eyes lit up. He called out to me. He said he was here to take me home. His voice was clear in the silent night. I nodded and started running toward him. The first firework exploded in the sky. Then I collapsed into the snow. Someone was holding me, crying. I struggled to open my eyes. I smoothed his worried brow. I told Noah my life had been a sickness. Meeting him was the best luck I ever had. I had no regrets. Before I lost consciousness, I heard him sob. He said meeting me was the greatest fortune of his life. I had a long dream. I was 14 again. I had snuck out of the house. I wanted to see the mountains and rivers from my books. Instead, I saw a small beggar boy. He was being beaten by several older kids. He just curled up in a ball. He reminded me of a stray dog I had rescued. I saved the beggar boy. I wanted to be a hero like in the stories. But he was more of a hero than me. He could climb trees and catch fish in the river. He showed me the real world. He promised to cure my illness. He said he would show me the whole world. But I got a high fever after that day. When I woke up, I had forgotten him. A part of me always felt empty after that. Until 6 years later, a young man arrived. Just looking at him filled that empty space. The man's face in my dream shifted. It became the beggar boy from all those years ago. I opened my eyes. Noah was asleep, slumped over my bed. He held my hand tightly. His face was thinner, but I could still see the boy he once was. Noah was the beggar I had saved. He had remembered me all this time. I reached out and touched his face. He stirred and opened his eyes. He looked awake. He saw me and his eyes lit up. It was like fireworks. I smiled and ruffled his hair. I told him he had kept a big secret from me. He froze, then his face slowly turned red. He asked if I remembered him. I said I did. Just then, Maya came in. Leo followed close behind her like a shadow. Leo was overjoyed to see me awake. He saw Noah and awkwardly stepped back. Maya checked my pulse. She smiled at Noah. She told him to stop looking so sad. She promised that in a few months, I would be perfectly healthy. I learned that she was the one who saved me. Her mentor was a legendary doctor. Noah had brought her here to treat me. I remembered our first meeting in the coffee shop. I felt my face grow warm with embarrassment. Leo said he had been worried sick. He demanded I treat him to many dinners. I teased him about his feelings for Maya. He just grinned sheepishly. He then leaned in and asked if I had looked at his gift. I remembered the book. I gave him a very sarcastic smile. He then whispered a final, inappropriate question. I raised my hand to smack him. He dodged and ran after Maya. Noah and I looked at each other and smiled. After a few months, I was almost fully recovered. My mother was thrilled. She said she had gained another son. My father was still cold to me, but he let Noah and me join them for dinner. Things were getting better. The following spring, Chloe came to say goodbye. Her family was being honored for their role in stopping the bandits. She had been named a general. The weather was perfect. Noah and I rode a horse together. We were finally fulfilling our 14-year-old promise. We passed a monastery. The bells rang, startling the birds. I turned to Noah. I remembered he said he had no name back then. I asked him where the name Noah came from. He rested his chin on my shoulder. He hugged me tighter but did not answer. But I already knew the truth. He took a name to honor a memory, a promise to a boy who once saved him, a vow to stay by his side. Now we would travel together. We would see the mountains and the rivers. We would see the whole world.